Hi, welcome to Looking Glass Integrative Wellness. This is Naturopathic Doctor Patti Sheeley, and today is the first installment of my series on inside out skincare. And the reason why I am wanting to go from inside to outside is because I feel like the skin, being our largest organ, as well the organ with which we interact with our environment and each other. It's kind of hard to recognize your neighbor or your friend or whoever unless you see their skin, right? So it's the first thing that we present, and most of us think of that as like the outside is super important, but in reality there's no outside of our skin without the inside. So let's talk about how to take care of the inside of our skin, and we will eventually work towards taking care of the outside, but I want to take things a little topsy-turvy as usual and talk about the inside. So today we're going to talk about a part of that called the basement membrane, which is actually not made of cells. It is actually generated by the bottom layer of cells associated with your skin, but it's a protein matrix that has collagen and elastin and some hyaluronic acid, and it's also just got sort of a soup of different sort of gelatinous things that make it slippery. So if you grab your finger and you just push it around and your skin slides a little bit. Well, it's sliding on top of that basement membrane. And the basement membrane is super important. There's some cushion there. It protects us from mechanical forces. It also helps provide the shape. So as we get older, that connection of the collagen between the basement membrane and the dermis or the skin layers begins to break down. And as a result, we get wrinkles, which is a rather superficial thing, although none of us really love the wrinkles, right? But also it's important for some more things like off cancers. If that cancer stays superficial to that basement membrane, it's much safer for the body because the body has a protection there between those cancer cells getting into the blood supply, for example. So having a strong basement membrane is super important for our health as well as wrinkles. And, if you're younger, the basement membrane also is related to how deep is that acne into the body and all kinds of things like that. So the basement membrane has a very real cosmetic purpose, but also a functional purpose, and as well as our immune system and even fighting off cancer. So it's a really important structure in the body. So how do we take care of it? That is the question. So the first thing that we want to realize is, guess what? Mechanical forces, right? So if we do things that are very, very hard, if you're talking about the basement membrane in your hands, it's not a terrible idea to wear gloves whenever you're going out and gardening or doing some really difficult for your hands kind of work, because that's going to allow a little bit of extra protection to the mechanical forces that create wear and tear on that relationship between the epidermis and the dermis and how that all relates to the basement membrane. So that's the first thing, is we want to think about, just mechanical forces. But another thing is we want to think about removing the things that would interfere with it being able to be healthy. And so what does that mean? That means we want to make sure that we have good pathways of elimination, because the body will put chemical toxins wherever it can stuff them until it can eliminate them. And one of those spaces is in that space between the skin. I can remember whenever I was recovering from surgery, and they had put a lot of necessary medications into my body, and you could literally see pockets under my eyes and in other places where those chemicals that my body was getting ready to metabolize and get rid of and eliminate were literally pooling, and you could just see pockets of inflammation right there under my eyes, especially, was the obvious one. But my point being, we need to help our bodies eliminate waste as it comes. What does that mean? It means a healthy diet, rich in antioxidants, also a clean diet. So not a lot of artificial colors, not a lot of artificially preserved foods. If you're going to eat meat, that's just fine, but just try to do sort of a cleaner meat, preferably grass-fed, but just clean foods without a lot of chemical ingredients is ideal. Another thing that's important is to give our basement membrane the building blocks that it needs to build the things that it needs to build. Building collagen requires bone broth. You could also do a gelatin, but you want to provide the body with a good quality array of the building blocks for collagen, as well as the precursors and the other things that it needs in order to grow healthy collagen. Number one that I can think of is a good amount of vitamin C. Now, the minimum amount of vitamin C, according to the RDA, is different from the milligrams per pound that animals that make vitamin C make. The poundage of a human would make about 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. You and I have to eat the vitamin C that we need, and the recommended RDA is much, much, much lower than that. And so I say eat a lot of foods that contain vitamin C, absolutely. And if you want to take a vitamin C, just take that to the amount that is to your bowel tolerance, because the first sign that you're getting a little too much vitamin C is that you start getting some loose stools. So you're not going to get toxic, you're just going to eliminate it before it makes it into creating a problem, and just back it off and then be at a healthy level for you. So you want to have a good nutrient, vitamin, mineral balance, eat your vegetables. Good healthy protein, and especially vitamin C, is important for supporting that basement membrane. So I hope you enjoyed this little talk and maybe learned a thing or two. And remember that your skin is built from the inside out, not the outside in. In wellness, this is Naturopathic Dr. Patti Sheeley, inviting you to like, subscribe, and share.